carrying on with the RAMP method, if you missed the first part of my talk this morning, make sure you go back and grab and watch that recording if you missed it. But just to give you kind of a brief background here before we get started, I mentioned in that my background is sports medicine. I worked with high performing athletes for 14 years. And during that time, I learned the 4 components that created Olympic gold medalists and champions. And I mentioned this already, but they had to have the right coach, the right skill set, the right mindset, and the right rest to performance ratio. And the rest to performance ratio, this is what is not taught to us as humans, as business owners. And so when I say rest to performance ratio, what I mean by that is in sports, they have a 3-to-1 rest to performance ratio. So let's just take football, for example, since football's in season. In the summer times, they take time off and then they come back and they have their preseason where they're just practicing, they're playing maybe inter scrimmages, things like that. They're working on foundational skills. And then they move into their competition season. And then they have their post or peak season, which is their going for the Olympic gold medal, or in football, it's the Super Bowl, right? So there's a rest to performance ratio. And this rest to performance ratio is we look at it in the grand scheme of a year. We look at it in a month, in a week, and in a day. And we do this because you can only push your body physically, right? As an athlete, you can only push your body physically so much, or you end up burnout. If you caught my story about the Olympic swimmer that did not end up making the Olympic team, I had no doubt that he would be an Olympic gold medalist. In fact, he used to joke because I was pregnant with my firstborn son, and he would say, "Cheree, will you, if I make it to the Olympics, will you name your child after me?" And I said, "If you win an Olympic gold medal, we will talk and I'll consider naming his middle name after you," because I knew that he had the mindset. I knew he had the coach. I knew that he had the skill set to do it. And I had no doubt. What he didn't have, unfortunately, and I was not a part of his training plan, is the right rest to performance ratio. He didn't understand that his body needed that rest time. And so that's what I'm going to show you today with the RAMP method, is how you can create a rest to performance ratio, a 3-to-1 rest to performance ratio for your business and for your life. Because here's the thing. What's happening in business affects life, and what's happening in life affects business. And if we try to keep them separate, that is where we end up getting in trouble. And so if we can bring those together and learn how do we make these work well together and balance all of them together, that makes life and business much more enjoyable. So what is the RAMP method? You've heard me mention it several times, but RAMP is an acronym. It stands for Rest, Align, Master, Peak. And it's really a holistic approach that's going to help you to optimize your specific physiology. And when I say physiology, what I mean is males function different than females. Males are more productive in a 24-hour period. Females are more productive in a 28-day period. So if we can learn how our bodies function naturally throughout on a weekly and a monthly basis, then we can actually optimize our productivity. The RAMP method is also going to look at your business trends so you can be in peak performance at the right time instead of all the time. So what do I mean by that? If you have a seasonal business where you have really drastic slow seasons and really drastic busy seasons, instead of those feeling askew and stressful, we're going to teach you how to create a peaceful predictability for that. If you don't have extremes, right, where everybody has a slow and busy season, slow and busy time of the year. And so it's just a matter of looking at what does that look like for you. And so right now, I want you to write down what are your slow seasons And what are your busy seasons? You can actually create, if you have a piece of paper, write 4 columns, write rest, align, master, peak. Your rest season is going to be your slowest time of year. Your peak season is going to be your busiest time of year. If you're a coach and you're not like, I don't really know, I don't really have this, you get to create it. I choose my slow season and actually after this summit, and I'm going to take 2 weeks off over the holidays with my family because I didn't get that in the sports world. I was always traveling. So that's when I choose, right? Summertime is busier for us. We're starting to ramp up. And then as the fall comes, that's like our busy season, right? This is our launch. This is our ideal clients, their slower time, which means that this is our best time to capture them and start working with them in their slow season. So the ramp method is really designed to help you create intentionality and be at optimal performance and productivity in your day, your week, your month, and your year. So this is just an example of the sports world. So when we talk about sports, they have what are called macro cycles, they have mesocycles, and they have microcycles. I'm not going to get into all the science of this, but I just wanted to give you a visual of the training plan and what this looks like in sports because they have times where they have more volume and less intensity. They have times where they have more intensity and less volume, and it ebbs and flows. But it's very strategic in the way that it's done. This training plan that's called periodization has been used in the sports world for over 60 years, and I thought if this works in sports to produce Olympic gold medalists, why can't we take this same concept and apply it to our businesses and to our lives and create rest? Because sometimes we don't know how to rest. As high performers, we don't know how to slow down and really, truly rest. And so today, I'm going to teach you what this is going to look like, especially for your year. So the rest phase of the ramp method, again, I said this is your slow season, right? This is the equivalent to the off season in sports. In sports, it's not like they're couch potatoes. It's not like they're doing nothing. No, they're still shooting hoops. They're still swimming in the water. It's just that it's a lower intensity. They're having fun. It's not organized. Okay. So in your business, you're thinking, if you're like, Cheree, I don't have time to just shut my business down for a season. Like, what are you talking about? Okay. I'm not saying you should shut your business down. I'm saying let's take advantage of the slow season instead of it feeling stressful of like, oh my gosh, I have to go out and get clients, right? Drop in the chat. What do you tend to do in your slow season? Some of you mentioned this earlier that you feel stressed in your slow season, right? So we can either focus on the stress of not having enough clients and try to force it, which doesn't work, or we can focus on what we can control. And what we can control is looking at what worked well and what didn't work well. How can we change? How can we use this time to really recharge and reset so that we are ready to go when our busy season comes, right? So in this phase, what you can control is who you're spending time with and how you're spending your time. This is a great time to make your family, your friends, and your relationships your biggest priorities. And I'm going to caution you, this is not the time to push for growth because people are not in a buying mindset, right? Realtors, insurance agency owners, construction, seasonal businesses, you're going to understand this really well, right? Let's take construction, for example. Their slow season is in the winter time for good reason. It doesn't matter what they do. They're not going to all of a sudden have more business unless you're in a different climate that doesn't have winter time. So what can you do? How can you be strategic with your time in a way that allows you to rest and really recharge in a really good way for yourself and for your team if you have team members? So when we talk about the ramp method, we talk about how can you structure your year, your month, your week, and your day. And also, this is what the steps that we take our clients through. We teach them what does rest and recovery look like for them. We teach them how to really understand where they should be spending their energy, their time and their energy to be the most efficient possible. We teach them what sustainable self-care looks like for them. We teach them time management. I had a client and I was actually having a hard time getting her. Actually, you're going to hear from her in a little bit. I was having a hard time. She knew she needed coaching, but I couldn't get her on a call. And so finally, I was like, hey, here's the situation. What's going on? Are you in or out? And she said, Cheree, my calendar is managing me and I don't know what to do about it. She felt so overwhelmed by her calendar, by her time management, that she like coaching just felt so overwhelming, right? Here's the thing. It wasn't really an issue of her time management. She was really good at time blocking. She's amazing at being organized and time blocking. What she wasn't good at was blocking time off for herself, for her mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, right? And so, and a lot of it was her energy was mismanaged because she was saying yes to things that she didn't want to be saying yes to. She wasn't in alignment with her values. So, to really have true rest, you have to be in alignment with your vision, your values, and your priorities. So, the align phase in a year, this is the equivalent to the preseason in sports. So in sports, they're coming back together, they're working as a team, they're working on foundational skills. Who's going to be in what position? Who's doing what? A lot of high volume reps to really figure out what they're supposed to be doing. So in your business, this isn't super slow. It's not busy. It's kind of just in between. So for a lot of business owners that we work with, they have just a month where they fit this in. It could be longer. It's totally dependent on your industry and how you want to do it. And the thing is you can have multiple, it's not like you just get one rest season, one align, one master, one peak. You can have multiple throughout your year. What I want you to understand about this aligned phase is in order to have success and fulfillment, we talked about this, fulfillment and happiness is what people really attribute to success, right? Robert talked about this. It's vital that you and your team are in alignment with your zone of genius, which I'm going to talk about actually tomorrow, discovering your genius. We're going to talk more about this because I find that a lot of business owners get stuck in their zone of excellence. And if you're not familiar with zone of genius, zone of excellence, make sure you come back tomorrow for that session and I will dig more into that. But the align phase, this is the planning and prep phase for your business, strategy planning, goal setting, team building, and hiring, looking at who are the people that you're going to need to hire and onboard because we want to get them onboarded before your busy season happens. So again, in this phase, through our coaching, we're getting really clear on what is the vision, not just for your business, not just for your revenue, but like big picture, like what do you want out of your life? How can your business support your life? So you can work on your business and not in your business and not feel like you're losing your sanity. We get really clear on what do you value? What are your priorities? And then we create really firm boundaries around those because your boundaries are not going to stick if you're not in alignment with your values and your priorities. And then again, we get really clear on zone of genius. So 10x growth is about doing less, not more. And in order to do less, you have to know where you should be spending your time and your energy. And I'm going to tell you, it's probably not on social media unless your business is social media, or bookkeeping unless you're a bookkeeper, right? Like there's these things we have to understand. What is the return on investment? What is zapping our energy and draining it? And being really strategic about the people that you're bringing on based on where you should be spending your time and your energy instead of just frantically hiring somebody to help you because you can't keep up with your work. So the master phase. This is starting to get busier, right? It's starting to ramp up. This is the equivalent in sports to the in season. This is where they're starting to play their competition. They've learned the skills. Everybody knows what position they're in. Now it's about mindset. Because if an athlete walks on that court and they are not in the right mindset, they're going to lose. If they are focusing on, let's say, a free throw shooter, right? And there's a lot of noise and it's down to the last point. If they are worried about what the crowd is saying and they're focused on not missing the shot, guess what? They're going to miss the shot. But if they focus on their body movements and what they can control, they're more likely to make the shot, right? So what are you focused on? This is where we really want to get clear on your calendar. What goes on your calendar and what does not go on your calendar? What are you saying yes to and what are you saying no to? Which you're going to be very clear on because we know what your values are, right? And then operational efficiency. Do you have the systems and processes in place in order to go into that busy season, in order to grow and scale? And then communication becomes really important. Not necessarily in this phase. This is just kind of where we focus on it. Making sure that you're communicating with your family really well and with your team members and the people around you, that they understand what their role is and what they're supposed to be doing and what they can expect of you as you move into your busy season. So this is really the start of your busy season where we want to remove things off of your calendar that are not in alignment with that busy season, okay? And then the peak phase. So this is the equivalent of, I said, the Super Bowl, going for the Olympic gold medal, right? In sports, a lot of times we look at athletes and we think we want them to be at their peak performance in their during season. We really want them to be in peak performance when it comes time for the championship, right? So everything that's done down to their nutrition, down to their weightlifting, the intensity in each season is to ramp them up to be good enough in their competition season, but even better when it comes time for post-season play. Okay, so this is where we want you to be in peak performance for your busy season. But what happens is instead of feeling rested in that rest season, we're pushing and pushing and pushing. And then we get to the busy season and we're exhausted and drained, right? If you are relating to this, if you're like, yes, that's me, drop it in the chat. We really want for you to have taken care of yourself and be in a really good place so that in your busy season, you can take care of yourself and your clients really well, right? This is going to be the busiest time of the year. This is usually where your growth is happening. This is where income generation is happening. Doesn't mean that's not happening in other seasons, but this is where we want it to happen if it's a perfect world. We do not want to hire in this phase. And what I find with a lot of business owners is they're so desperate that they're just reacting to their circumstances. And so they know that they're super busy and they don't have time. And so then they're trying to hire during their busy season, which actually just adds more chaos. It's frustrating for the new employee getting onboarded, and it's frustrating for the owner who's constantly being asked questions, right? Especially if you don't have the right systems in place. So when you're looking at creating a ramp method for yourself, you really need to learn how to delegate to elevate. You really need firm boundaries, especially in this phase, so you can protect your time and your energy. So this is just kind of a recap of each of the phases. I know I'm going through this really fast because I want to leave a little bit of time for question and answers. But everybody's ramp method is going to look different. So this is actually an example of one of our clients who owns an insurance agency. They actually have 2 rest seasons and 2 peak seasons, and then 1 align and master season. And so we go through and we look at what are you doing in rest season, down to marketing, networking. What are you not doing? How are you taking care of yourself? How are you resting physically, mentally, emotionally, right? We want to rest in the other seasons too. That's why we talk about, using this 3-to-1 ratio throughout your day, your week, and your month. But for this purpose, we're just talking about what does this look like in the grand scheme of your year, and how can you take this and apply it and get really clear on what are each of these seasons. It could be lined with the quarters. It could be 1 month. It could be a week. A rest season could be a couple hours, right? If we're looking at within your day. But the point is people get so stuck and so afraid on if I rest, then I'm not going to have the success I want. And it's actually the opposite. It is proven there's a fine balance. You don't want to have too much rest, right? That's not good either, but you need just the right amount of rest. And so it's understanding what does that look like for you as an individual. That's going to be different for males. It's going to be different for females. It's going to be different based on different factors like ADHD or how you process things, right? This is really, really individual for each person. So this is not a cookie cutter method. This is really a way to help you create structure and a business plan, a strategy, if you will, that allows you to incorporate rest into your day, your week, your month, and your year. So I would love for those of you who are still on with us, drop in the chat what are your slower seasons and what are your busy seasons and how can you see that this can apply to your life? We have a couple people still on with us. Robert, Ann, Kelsey, Helen, Dave, Tara. Let's see. Helen says, I don't have a slow season yet. I know, Helen, you're just in the baby phase of your of growing your business, right? Uh Anne says summer is slow for me. I like that you have pointed this out. Helen, building phase. And um is summer slower for you guys because everybody's out and about doing their thing? And then I imagine fall probably starts to pick up more for you. Is that accurate? At the lake, laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah. So the thing with this is with the ramp method and creating a ramp roadmap, and we're actually going to be hosting a 2-hour workshop in January 16th, to actually walk people through what does this look like? How can I actually create this for my business? Not just for you as the business owner, but also to present to your team that says like, hey, this is what we're going to be focusing on. These are the goals. This is the marketing. This is everything that we're going to be doing, down to what each of your team members are even going to be doing in each of these phases. So it's really clear to them what you expect of them and what they can expect of you. So this is, it seems simple, and it is simple, and yet it's also life-changing. That's literally the words we get from our clients, is that this method, this thought process, learning how to do this has been life-changing for them. We actually started tracking, started asking before and after questions to really understand, like, okay, you can say it's life changing, but what does that like tangibly mean? Like, how is it life changing? And so we ask, how, like, what was your joy piece before learning this method and applying it, and what was it afterwards? And usually our increase is about 80% in communication with team members, fulfillment, joy, peace, right? That's like really what we want at the end of the day. Helen says, Cheree, can you tell me what the difference between men and women is? So because of hormones, women are on a 28-day cycle, right? Even if you are in menopause, this is going to look a little bit different for you, but you can still track your symptoms and what this is going to look like. Men are on a 24-hour cycle. So men are usually more productive in the morning hours, typically, unless they're like DNA coded to be night owls. They're usually more productive in the morning hours, and then in the afternoon, their brains kind of start to shut down. That's kind of like the average. Women are more productive in a 28-day period, meaning because of their hormones, different weeks, depending on their cycle, is going to be different. So, for instance, basically, if you think about like the seasons of our earth, right? We have those same seasons as a female in our month. And so those weeks where you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody, I'm really like critical, I'm just like mad at the world. And then you have these weeks where you're like, I have all the energy in the world and I can conquer everything and do everything, and you have all the energy, you don't need as much sleep. So starting to understand how your body is actually cyclical. And if you can start to understand when you are the most productive in your month and take advantage of that. So I used to get really frustrated because I would have these days where, my brain was thinking and I could do all this content creation. And then like a week later, a couple days later, my brain was just mush. And that was so frustrating to me. And I thought, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just be this productive all the time? And when I started to learn and understand that my body has these natural ebbs and flows, just like the seasons of the earth, um, intentionally. And so instead of pushing against it, what if I could take advantage of it? And that is really, really what that is referring to, Helen. That's like a whole nother teaching. But that's what that means, is really understanding how to take advantage of your physiology. And like, I think if every woman knew this, especially from like the time that she was a teenager, um, we would be much happier women, because we we've been society has told us that we need to work and function the way that men do, right? Nothing, not saying there's anything against men. It's just that men were in the workforce, women were not. Now women are in the workforce and raising families, and nobody has taught us how to really like learn how to take advantage of our body. We're just told work 8 to 5 and you should be the same productivity every day. And it's not realistic for our bodies. And so when we try to force our bodies to do that, it's too much stress. And then we start to shut down. And here's the thing about rest. If you do not intentionally rest your body mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, your body will rest for you through sickness, through health issues, through mental health issues, right? If you don't give your body the rest that it wants and needs and you get to control it, it will choose how you're going to rest for you. And it's not usually a good thing, right? It's usually negative consequences, either toward our bodies or toward our relationships. So, Anne says, very interesting. Helen says, that is so good. I'll have to pay more attention to that. Yes. I highly recommend the Moody app. I actually have a link for this. While we're waiting for Lisa to hop on here, I will see if I can find it really quick, and I'll drop it in here because it's a way that you can track your symptoms, whether you have a cycle or not, whether you're in menopause or not. The app will actually, if you start to track it, you'll start to pay attention to like even like imposter syndrome, lack of confidence, things like that, that you're like, what is wrong with me all of a sudden? There's nothing wrong with you. It's just the season that you're in within your month. So I'll see if I can grab that. I actually have, it's free. It's a free app, but I actually have a 20% off link if you want the paid version, because the paid version, if you wear like an Apple Watch, it'll start to track. And the more you track, the more the app will learn you and start to tell you like, hey, this is where you're at. And this is maybe how you're feeling. Is this accurate or not? Oh, Lisa's here. Okay. So remind me and I will try to remember to grab that link. But Lisa LeBlanc is going to be joining me. So Lisa was Lisa, are you here? Lisa. So Lisa is the owner of Northtown Insurance. She was actually one of the very first clients that I taught the RAMP method to, and who took it and implemented it. And since then, we've been teaching other people how to implement this as well. So Lisa's going to come on. I'm going to interview her about her experience in a couple of different areas of her working with us. Um, Lisa, not sure how to unmute. Helen, thank you so much for joining. I'm so glad that you found value in that. Uh, okay, Lisa, I'm trying to see. Why isn't it letting you unmute? And do you have a master mute on? I don't know. How do I? You can unmute though, right? Anne, are you able to unmute yourself? There she
Yes.
is. Are you able to unmute now?
I'm unmuted. Amazing.
Yay! So good.
That was harder than it should have been.
That's what this is perfect timing. I just got done going over the ramp method. So I was just sharing how you were the first client that we implemented this with. So, um, thank you for being here. And I did tell people a little bit about you, but will you just tell us a little bit more? I just said that you're the owner of Northtown Insurance, but just kind of tell us about you, your team, and what you guys do.
Yeah. Did you tell them about all the tears? Like
So we
all
haven't
the
talked about
crying
anything
that
yet.
happened? Yes. Yeah. So we are a team of 8, myself and my husband included. We run Northtown Insurance Agency. We also have a little sub business called the Happening Space where we rent out some of the offices in our building for co-working. Um, and yeah, I was slash am high performing, mildly neurotic. My identity has been tied to my accomplishments, and that was a super unhealthy season for me. And so working with Cheree and the ramp method has helped tremendously.
Mm. So when you first saw the ramp method and kind of presented this, you immediately were like, oh my gosh, yes. And you like kind of started working on it yourself a little bit. Just tell us like what about the ramp method was it that I don't know, like gave a light at the end of the tunnel or like what
Yeah.
was it about it that intrigued you?
Yeah. Mostly it was that rest was a part of it. That didn't really exist in our life and in our business. We used quiet seasons to do all sorts of projects. We didn't take time to enjoy the effort and the work. And so just the fact that rest was included and it could be intentional and on purpose and still planned out for my mildly neurotic self was the most appealing right away.
Yeah, I did mention that time management, you had said before starting coaching, like, because it was a struggle to get you on a coaching call, like, okay, let's
Yeah.
just, a discovery call. And you were like, Shree, my calendar is managing me. Like, I can't add one more thing, not even
Yeah.
coaching. Um, and you are like the master at time management. Like, you are very good at time management. Time management is not your issue. It's not about not being focused, right? Like, you are the productive queen.
Yeah.
So what just share with us that first of all like that initial like why did it feel so hard to
Mhm.
start coaching?
Mm. Like you had said, and I feel like I even shared this with you, was I cannot add another commitment. And I was so great at saying yes all the time to everything, even all the things that were good. And this sounded like a really good thing, but I was at the very end. Like I was crying all the time. I was having these panic attacks that I was afraid were heart attacks. And nothing bad was happening. Like they were all really good things in life and business, and our team is amazing. Um, but I just couldn't understand why I was having these. experiences. So I thought I was having a boundary by saying no. I can't add one more thing, but I had all the wrong things in place.
And I don't know if you remember this, but what made you finally go like, yes, okay.
What I was doing wasn't working. Um, and I liked you. Like you are smart and competent, and we share a lot of the same values. And that was helpful. I felt like, okay, can I just make time to talk to a friend, to cry to a friend, and just see where that goes? And that I was saying like what I was doing wasn't working. Um, yeah, I was desperate.
Yeah, it's I think sometimes you have to get to that breaking point before you're willing to make the change, right?
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and what do you feel like? So after our first two sessions, I think it might have been three, because initially it was like, oh my gosh, I can't add another commitment. But
Mhm.
after those first two sessions, what changed for you?
The hope that this is this. I don't know how to describe this well, and this might sound a little crazy, but hope that I could have it all. Like I could have everything that I wanted. Our business doing well, the office culture awesome, our team is great, um, moving forward in growth and success, and I could have peace, and I could choose my priorities, and I didn't have to say yes to everything. Um, it just changed it from reacting to the world to being proactive with what mattered to me and getting back to being aligned with my values instead of feeling like I was performing for everybody else.
Yeah, you were saying yes a lot out of people pleasing and fear, right? And so that's why your
Real.
calendar was mismanaging you.
Mm-hmm.
With the so a couple of things. So we've worked together 3 years now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we started kind of almost like a life coaching, and then we worked on the ramp method and really implemented that and have done some stuff with your team and team culture and
Yeah.
those kind of different things. And I know that for you, there were a lot of team issues, right? There's a lot of relationship and nuances and things that happen with team members that emotionally drain. I think more so for women than men. I don't know for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that women take on issues with employees emotionally and they take it home and they hold it a lot in their body. And not to say that men don't carry that stress either. Um, but tell us just a little bit about that and how that was affecting you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The recovering people pleaser, the recovering enabler side of me just opened myself too far to the team, and lines got blurred, and there was a lack of clarity. I was so eager to provide a healthy work environment that I went too far into the extreme. Like I listened too much to all that they wanted and tried to meet that need rather than saying, "Here, this is what we offer." And I feel proud about what we offer and how we work hard to create balance. But back then, I wasn't proud of that. I was more focused on how to perform for each individual person. Um, real, wouldn't recommend it. Like real, yeah, lines blurred and confusion, and so much better now.
Yeah. And it's a I say this all the time, but it's a journey, not a destination, right?
Yeah.
And you and I, we just had a call because you found yourself kind of back in this cycle again of this exhaustion, this performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like peeling away the layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you can feel like, oh my gosh, okay, yes, I'm doing so much better in this area. And then something happens and it kind of takes you
Mm-hmm.
back down. And so I just want to highlight that like it's it's a journey, right? It's this evolving process that we have to continue to work through, and it's not about perfection. But I know that like just recently, you and I had the talk, and you were really moving into that CEO, like true CEO role, working on the business and really moving out of the business. And there's some fear in that. And how did that fear play out for you?
Oh my gosh. So just like I had said, I realized like I came face to face with my identity being tied to performance and accomplishments. And I was realizing as I'm getting ready to pass on the management and operations role to somebody else, I was realizing like, well, what am I going to be good at now? How am I going to accomplish and perform owning a business and working on the business exclusively? So there's a lot of, I think, fear in that and some hustle that started again of like, okay, well, what all can I take on and accomplish before I pass the baton and everything has to be perfect. And I just went into some old patterns that were unhealthy for me. Um, yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, and it's funny as because in reality it seems like, oh, well, it's just my to-do list and I have all of these
Yeah,
things to do, but really it was just lies, right? That
yeah.
you were believing that and that fear often comes up in different ways, and for you that is in like perfectionism.
Mhm.
Enneagram 1, we're going to talk about Enneagram on
Yeah.
3, but just understanding, I really wanted you to come on and just share kind of like your journey of the process that you have gone through, and what I want to say, like a super successful business like Northtown Insurance is very successful. And so I think sometimes we see like these people that are successful and like, oh, they must have it all together. Like they're good. And yes,
Mhm.
maybe we have some areas together and other areas not so well. And
Mhm.
I find this a lot with high performers is the success is there. The peace, the joy, the fulfillment is not always there.
Mhm.
Last thing that I wanted to touch on is just your experience. I know that when we first started working together, I really encouraged you to outsource social media,
Mhm.
some of your marketing. And that was like your
Mhm.
baby. Like it was really
Yeah.
hard for you to let go of. And
Yeah.
finally you were like, okay, how about we like, can Tara take this on, right? And so for those of you listening, Tara is my business partner in Success Without Sacrifice, and she does all of our marketing. And Lisa, kind of a slowly let go of some things. But
Yeah.
what is for a business owner that's listening? What's the fear in that for you of letting that go, and like how
Mhm.
does it feel now?
Hmm. Sort of the same with letting with outsourcing some of the hiring and recruiting was I thought our voice would be missed. I thought that whoever was working on it wouldn't know my heart or our culture or the things that we strive for as a company, and that wouldn't get relayed to the community or to the interviewees. Um, so that was really hard for me, and that's why I would just like piecemeal to Tara, and she was so gracious with me, just so willing to walk through the process. And now, oh my goodness. So I think she's been working with us for oh, almost a little over a year, maybe.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, what else can you do? What else can you do? And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. Hmm.
Yeah. And then the other thing that you outsourced and let go of is hiring.
Yeah.
um, which you asked me if I would help with some hiring, and I was like, I don't have any background in that. But will you just tell us like what kind of led to that of you like, okay, I need somebody else to take on hiring, and how you
Mhm.
feel after letting that go?
Yeah. So a lot of the stuff, some of the big takeaways from working with you in general was priorities versus tasks. So I was a queen of tasks. Like I would make myself a to-do list and just bust right through them, but they weren't always the priorities. And I would lose sight of the most important things or protecting time or safeguarding my yeses. Um, and so when I was going through all my list of responsibilities, the recruiting and the interview process was so depleting to me, and it wasn't a priority. Like bringing on somebody that fits our culture is, but that first part of it, the first screening was something that we thought could be outsourced, and I would do it again in a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we're on about a year going on for that too.
Yeah.
And have started doing that with other people because it is such a need. It's like so time consuming. Like as a business owner, like there's just no reason that you need to be doing that. So, Lisa, thank you so much for
Yeah.
being here, for just sharing your experience
Thank
of
you.
and not just working with us, but really like the whole point of bringing Lisa on is to just inspire you, those of you who are listening, like it can be a different way. It doesn't have to be the way that everybody says it has to be, and there can be a different way. So,
Mhm.
Lisa, thank you so
Yeah.
much for
Yeah.
being here. I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much. And
Yeah.
next up, we are going to have Ann Long, who with Burbity Workspaces, who is one of our sponsors. So thank you, Ann, for your sponsorship for Burbity Workspaces. I am going to hand the floor over to you, and I'm going to let you share about Burbity. Oh, you're on mute too. There we go.
Thank you, Cheree. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, I
Okay,
can see. I can see your whole screen, not just your presentation.
okay. How about just the presentation now?
No, but still your whole screen.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Keeps flipping over to the other screen. This is my life here. Okay, well,
It's all right. Technically,
uh,
that's how it's going today.
yeah, I know.
I was gonna say I have it. I can share it on my end too, but I don't know if it'll let you use the screen. You know what I mean? Like tap through the presentation.
Yeah, I can't, that's the issue is I can't see you guys when I have it in full screen and can't control what I'm sharing. So hold on one sec. Let's go to screen 2 and see what happens. Okay, does it show the full screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Well, first of all, we're very proud to be a sponsor for the Success Without Sacrifice Summit. You have some wonderful information and some top-notch speakers. So appreciate the opportunity to sponsor you guys. So for those of you that aren't familiar with co-working, Burbity Workspaces is a co-working space in Spokane, Washington. We have 4 locations, but co-working is a shared office space for entrepreneurs, freelancers, startups, that need their own office space but don't want to go to the expense of go leasing their own space, big space. And they also, the side benefit is bringing like-minded professionals together and being able to bounce ideas around and collaborate. Burbity Workspaces started in 2020 here in Spokane. We have our first location was in Liberty Lake, which is still there. And the second one was opened in 21, May of 21, which is our Sprague location. Our third location was open on Sullivan, which is our flagship location. And our fourth location was open in June of 24 this summer, downtown Spokane. And there's just a quick picture of one of our conference rooms at our Sullivan location. So who works in co-working spaces? When I first started co-working before COVID, primarily it was remote workers, right? There was a hotbed of remote workers in Liberty Lake, primarily a lot of engineering and maybe some freelancers. But since COVID, there's been a lot larger pool of people who need to work in co-working spaces. A lot more remote workers than there ever was. And so we have attorneys, realtors, artists, startups, business coaches, software engineers, insurance agents. We have just a plethora of different industries in all of our spaces. Some of the benefits of being in a co-working space are that's a shared space. So you get a professional, beautiful office, but you don't have the expense all on your own. You have increased productivity by your work-life balance and networking with other professionals or other business owners, or like we have like-minded industries, even within competitors, but they use each other to collaborate and bounce ideas around for all kinds of different things in business. But one of the most important things in my mind that is the benefit is to decrease loneliness. As a business owner, as a remote worker, it can get really lonely. And if you're working from your home or your same four walls, and to be in a space where you can visit with others daily, see others, or even just feel the buzz around you, not necessarily even talking to anybody that day, it makes a huge difference in your productivity, but also your mental health. Some of our products, we offer a virtual office, which is a business address without the actual office space. So if you're just starting out and you want a professional business address, this is one of a really great way to ease into your business and ease into your growth. We also have a lot when people are shrinking businesses. They want to shed that big space, but they just want to go home and work out of their home. So they can use our virtual office address as their office. We offer hot desks in our co-working industry. That's just an open desk in our co-working space. Just grab any open seat and just get to work. We also offer private offices, private pods, meeting rooms. You don't have to be a member to use one of our meeting rooms. You can rent it by the hour. And we also offer event space for all kinds of events, baby showers, bridal showers, trainings, customer appreciation parties, you name it. We have a lot of different events in our space, weddings. And that's about it about Burgundy Workspaces. Again, we just wanted to thank you for allowing us to be a part of this, and we want you all to enjoy the summit.